It's been on the edge of Lake Rosseau for over 100 years, watching, waiting, through fires, through loss, through lonely nights. The halls of this regal hotel should have been empty, but they never were. Guests have heard footsteps when everyone else is asleep. Doors have a tendency to open on their own, and a piano can often be heard playing long after the music room was closed. Some say it's just an old building settling, but others know better.
And they had left the space, so I was clearing out the wine glasses on a tray, and right in my ear was Morgan, like so clear that I jumped. and the bartender looked at me, and I kind of went like this. He goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, it was right in my ear. I'm like, "Was there someone near me?" He said, "No." I'm like, "Okay, well, I just heard my name."
After midnight, it's best not to wander, not because it's unsafe, but because you might not be alone. I'm Nadine Bailey, and this is Haunted Canada. Join me as we pay a visit to the Windemere House Resort. Long before ghost stories, Windermere House was a symbol of luxury and escape. Affectionately known as the Lady of the Lake, the original hotel was built in the late 1800s during Muskoka's golden age of grand resorts. Located about 2 hours north of Toronto, it played a key role in the evolution of Muskoka as a popular vacation destination for Ontarians and international visitors, as it blends upscale living with a rustic charm. It is why the area has earned the nickname Hampton of the North. Lake Rosseau also happens to be one of the 3 larger lakes in the region, along with Lake Muskoka and Lake Joseph. There are 77 other lakes, along with many historic cottages and resorts, with many activities including boating, swimming, fishing, snowmobiling, and golfing. However, Windermere House's story begins over 150 years ago, when Thomas Atkin, an immigrant from Scotland's Shetland Islands, arrived to help settle a British colony, which would soon become Canada. He left Scotland after his first wife and child died, and traveled across the ocean with his sister Ellen and her husband David Fife to settle near Peterborough. However, Thomas would not remain a widower for long, because soon after he arrived in Peterborough, he met a charming woman named Mary Trail. She was a widow with 2 children, and after a short courtship, the couple married. By then, his sister's husband was ready to leave Peterborough for what they hoped was better opportunities further north in Muskoka. So the 2 families packed up their bags and made their way to the shores of Lake Rosseau. Thomas acquired land on the ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, which included the Ojibwe, Odawa, Potawatomi, Huron-Wendat, and Haudenosaunee peoples. In 1863, under the Government of Canada's settlement program, it offered free or low-cost land if settlers built homes, cultivated land, and lived on it for a few years. Megan Jennings is a sales and event manager at Windemere House, and she says that's how Thomas and his sister got plots in the area.
He received the land when they were trying to get people to come up here and farm. But as a lot of people know, in Muskoka, it's all stone. So when you're trying to do fields, it's not going to happen up here with all the stone. So he built a hunting lodge, and then it started getting so popular that it slowly evolved into a resort. And as we know, back in the day, a lot of the times it was either for hunting and fishing, but for people who were ill, who wanted to come out of the city and get fresh air and start to feel better about their health. And the steamships would bring them up here for quite some time until the trains started to come in, and then eventually the roads.
After hours and days of back-breaking work, he cleared the land, and by 1870, he had built a beautiful Victorian-style house and began welcoming paying guests into his lakeside residence.
So it was a smaller building, and then they did the expansion, and then they had built the third story. So the foundation here, like when you go to the basement in Windemere House, it has big piles into it, but it's on rock. So when you go, we call it the tunnel. It's all the Canadian Shield as the floor down there. So they just built it into the rock. Like when you go in the pub and you still see like the rocks like sticking out of the walls and stuff.
The renovations of the property was on account of the steamboat service, which had expanded as ships traveled through the recently built Indian River locks at Port Carling. Thomas saw an opportunity and applied for a post office, and he became postmaster to the community, guaranteeing his home would be at the center of the action. As tourism boomed, demand for accommodations grew, but the area at the time remained somewhat rustic.
Because it was a harder destination and people would come here for longer periods of time. Of course, it's had in its history its ebbs and flows with, if is it wealthy, is it more towards the common general public. So I have noticed that in the history that it's gone up and down. But originally for just the guys to come up here on their seaplanes, hunt fish, and then a ticket to the steamship, and then plus your food and beverage here. We saw one ticket was, I believe with meals, was $92 for the entire week.
But soon, what started as a modest boarding house grew into a proper resort, with major additions including a front section in 1883 and a 3-story wing completed by 1887. Thomas and his second wife continued to live in a 4-bedroom cottage on the property, which they continued to develop throughout the late 19th and 20th centuries until 1919, when Thomas Atkin died, and part of the estate was sold to establish the Windermere Golf and Country Club, and his children took over management.
So his daughter, Mary Beth, eventually took over and was running Windermere House for quite a few decades before she passed away. She did pass it down to her family, and then they sold it to new owners after that. So they did live in there on property for the entire time, and same with Mary Beth was there too. It is used for guests. In the winter, we do have staff in there a lot of the times, but it is for guests to stay in there. So it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom cottage. So it's nice to have your own house and stay in a little bit of piece of history on property. Running a place like this can be very expensive. The weather takes a toll, especially up here on these buildings. And it was a seasonal property until 3 years ago. So it would close after Thanksgiving and then reopen in May. So to even keep it going when there's nobody here, it is challenging.
After Mary Beth took over the estate, the property stayed in the family for nearly 140 years and endured into the modern era. In that time, it welcomed guests and their families for events and weddings, and even hosted NHL teams, government officials, as well as celebrities. In 1996, the resort became a location for the filming The Long Kiss Goodnight. The action thriller, starring Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson, is the story of an amnesiac schoolteacher who sets out to recover her identity with the help of a private detective when they discover a dark conspiracy. During filming on February 27, 1996, a fire broke out, and the film crew rushed to help evacuate nearby homes. Thankfully, the fire did not spread beyond the building, which burned down, leaving only the stone veranda intact. There was speculation that it was caused by lighting equipment, because when the fire started, filming was taking place on the frozen lake, and the house was lit up so it could be seen in the background. It's unknown whether the fire was directly associated with filming, but at the time, the rest of the building was closed for the winter. Ironically, some of the remaining scenes at the hotel involved fire, but the real fire prevented them from being shot. After the tragedy, Windermere House was quickly rebuilt using the original Victorian style and design, which included a gleaming white exterior beautifully complemented by deep red shingles and an enormous wraparound veranda. The land itself, however, as Morgan mentioned, sits atop the Canadian Shield. The geological formation of exposed rock forms the core of the North American continent and covers nearly half of Canada. It's known for thin soil, countless lakes from glaciation, rich mineral deposits including gold, iron, uranium, and the boreal forests, and is crucial for mining, logging, and hydropower. It is also believed to be a conduit for ghosts, thanks to the stone tape theory, which claims that traumatic events are imprinted on stones and subsequently replayed in the future, similarly to a magnetic tape recording.
When we talked to the ghost hunters of the Grand River and had them come through, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit skeptical at first because I've worked at a lot of older properties up here and everyone said there was ghosts and I never heard or saw anything ever. So I just thought, prove me wrong. And they proved me wrong. And I'm very grateful for that. But that's when everyone started discussing their stories a bit more and feeling like they could come out and say, okay, I'm not nuts. Like I did hear or experience something. I'm like, yes, you did. And we acknowledge that. They reached out to us. They were doing, I believe it was their third season, and they were doing a lot of properties in the Ontario area. And when they reached out, I was just ecstatic. I'm like, please, yes, come. I was just so intrigued to see it done scientifically too, with all their equipment. It was just fabulous. Such a good experience.
Morgan said she was thrilled to connect with ghosts, and one of the first spirits that communicated with them was the home's original owner.
He came out very strong when the ghost hunters were here in terms of EVPs, that he was happy with the direction that we were going as a business. He answered questions about the fish in the lake, like all that kind of stuff. I did find like Elizabeth and Mary Beth came through too. They talked a lot about the business, which we were saying before, like as women, like they were really probably the strong people behind here, and he's still the figurehead, but the women are still running here and doing work. Thomas was the first to come through and very strong, almost aggressive, but just because he was like a gruff person, it sounds like not like nasty, but the women came in really strong after. So, and you could tell the difference between their voices. So the feeling and the way that you talk to them, it's almost like they're still overseeing this place, like they're still working. Hence why I made the joke, like, I don't want to die and still be working. Okay? It feels like that's what they're still doing. It's like they just check in every now and then to make sure that she's still okay and that we have the right values here. That's what it feels like to me.
Morgan said that after they connected with the former owners, other employees felt safe to share their own experiences with ghosts.
I find the housekeepers here have a lot more stories because they're in the intimate part too of the hotel. So the one girl last season, I was here, it was in the winter, and there was only 2 guests on property, and I was working front desk that day, and I checked them out. So they're gone. And this housekeeper came down to me, and she was Spanish. So someone was translating, because she was all upset. And she said, you told me that no one was on property still. And I knocked on this door, and they answered. I'm like, no, there's no one here. And she goes, well, there's a woman in there. I said, well, it's only men that were here. It's not a woman. And it was in a room that didn't have a balcony. The staff aren't here. So I went upstairs and investigated, and it was a clean room. It wasn't even dirty. So it was very odd. And The thing is, I asked her, what did it say? And she goes, well, I don't know. It spoke English because she's Spanish. So she didn't know what it said. So she was confused and upset. And when I told her no one's in there, she was going to quit. She was ready to quit. So I had to talk her off the ledge on that one. We just have to make light of it. I'm like, it's fine. It's just part of life here.
The housekeeper claimed that when she knocked on room 209, a voice through the door answered. And even though she didn't quit that day, Morgan says she continues to have strange encounters.
As far as I know, no. Last year, our staff had stuff fall off the buffet. So she was putting together a buffet and items fell off the buffet. So that scared her. It was in our dining room. And she's like, Maureen, there's no possible way that could have fallen off like that. Like, I know.
And Morgan does know, because she also had encountered the ghosts of Windemere House.
For me, I hear my voice. Like, I hear them call my name. So on the 3rd floor, I've gone up there quite a few times to do room drops for groups that are coming in. And at that point in the day, there's no one around really, because everyone's down at lunch, or all the guests have checked out because we're doing a flip. And I've heard my name numerous times from a man. So then I have a feeling I know who it is. So I just say, hey. And it honestly does give you a bit of a shiver. I'm not going to lie, because it takes you off guard. You're not expecting to be like right in your ear. So it does give me a jump scare sometimes. Oh, it's Thomas. I know. Yeah. Like, even we did a pop-up wedding last February. That one was the worst, because I was clearing glasses. We had it was only about 20 people getting, they got married, and there's only about 20 guests. And they had left the space. So I was clearing out the wine glasses on a tray. And right in my ear was Morgan, like so clear that I jumped. and the bartender looked at me, and I kind of went like this. He goes, are you okay? I'm like, it was right in my ear. I'm like, was there someone near me? He said, no. I'm like, okay, well, I just heard my name. And it freaked me out a little. So I'm like, can you please just back off a little when I'm carrying a tray of glasses?
Morgan has somewhat become accustomed to the voice and said she isn't sure she's the only one that hears it. The hotel is busy, loud, and often people may not stop to pay attention to a disembodied voice. However, other staff have heard and experienced things they can't explain either.
My director of sales and my head regional chef, they've heard things in their rooms. So like the lock has come off in the night, the slide lock. There's bangs. There is bangs in the night. I've heard it a few times. And it's not like, we don't have like hot water heating. So it's not like banging pipes that you would hear. It's like in your room. It's not a consistent noise. So it has given them a good start every now and then.
If banging doesn't scare staff, objects moving on their own will.
Yeah, like the little thing you slide in on the little chain. So he woke up in the morning, it was slid out and was out. So same with doors open. Like, I'm in the room right now where the cupboard doors, I'll come in to do walkthroughs, and the cupboard doors, it's always the same ones are always open. So it's small things like that, but it's enough that you're like, that's unusual. Like that, why would that be open again? And it's not like it's on the hinge that it's sliding. Like, I try to do the scientific method of why that would happen. So some of the things are just, that's just life. It's life here. Just get used to it.
And Morgan has gotten used to the strange encounters, which are often more noticeable when there's less people around.
Yeah, so the one thing that happens quite often, this is why I really notice it, is in the winter when there's hardly any staff here or any guests here. The walkies will go off on their own. And again, like, I look into like who's on property, who would have one, and they're not here, or they talk into it clearly, but they definitely will go off on their own. And it's almost like scrambly, like it's far away voice. So you can't understand it. So it'll go like intermittent.
If unmanned crackling on a walkie isn't enough, Morgan said she has also gotten used to the feeling like she isn't ever alone while in her office, which is in the creepy basement of the old hotel.
That one kind of gives you, again, a bit of a jump. And then there's also, like, they built a wall now to divide the office, and there's always this corner of my eye. There's someone there. I always know. So I just talk to them, but it's so quick. But you see someone walk by in the same spot all the time. So, and then I'll think it's someone playing a joke on me, so I yell at them because I can't see on the other side of the wall. But there's no one there. Or same with, like, my desk used to face out the window, so now it faces away from the window. But always the sense, it's always that same corner. And I was on the other side of the wall at that point. There's always someone standing there. Like, you feel it all the time. So I would constantly, like, look over my shoulder thinking someone was standing there, but to, like, scare me or something. But there's no one there. But again, like, it's a very calming presence. It actually feels nice. Like, you feel like if you're having a bad day, you could talk to this spirit or entity. It doesn't feel bad at all. I find it very reassuring when it's quiet here, because it's almost like The Shining in the winter here, right? Because it's so quiet and big, and yeah, so it's nice to feel like a nice comforting presence in here. It's a smaller frame. It's almost like it's very dark, but shorter, like a shorter, slim frame. So I think it's a female for sure.
Staff and guests have also claimed to have seen a woman dressed in Victorian clothing roaming the property, often near stairs, and sometimes she has been seen gazing out of the lake, even though she hasn't seen the specter herself.
It's a lot of noise. Like, and you can tell the difference. I don't know how to explain it, but even guests say it too. Like, you can just tell. And when things are open, especially doors in their rooms, or actually here too, I forgot about this. We have a lot of trouble keeping the clocks proper. So I know the head housekeeper, that she was getting in trouble at one point because the clocks didn't match. So it's like you walk in, it's 6 o'clock on there, but it says 3 o'clock here. And she goes, well, we did it. Like, I don't know. And I do find that the clocks change a lot. So I don't know why they would do it, but the clocks are a lot different. And it's not like there's a power outage or anything like that. We would know that, but yeah, that's very unusual.
She also said these strange occurrences are not limited to the main building. Some are centered around Thomas's old family home.
The cottage does, yes. That's where the family lived, in the cottage. Definitely lights will come on, voices, doors open. But the funny thing with the cottage versus, like, I've been at other properties who have had spirits, but when you walk into there, it's this very warm, loving feeling in that building. The energy is just incredible. And I don't tell guests about this kind of stuff, like, it, unless they ask about it, but everyone who walks in there says the same thing, like, wow, it feels so nice in here. Like, it has really good energy. I'm like, I know. Like, I feel like there's just this loving, warm energy in that building. So even when things do occur, you don't feel scared in there. It just feels like you're in a family house.
She shared these experiences with paranormal investigators that visited the resort, and she is convinced that their presence made the spirits more active.
When we had the ghost hunters here, I was doing my interview in the pub to talk about what the people on property want to experience. And I said, I haven't seen anything, so prove me wrong. And as soon as I said that, the lights flickered. I'm like, okay, that was weird. I'm like, you guys did not do that. So I knew we were kind of in for a very interesting evening. And there was a lot of voices that would come through. We used that bell thing too, so the bell would go off when something was around. It was very heavy busy energy. So after that was done, it was just wild and wonderful. And then 2 weeks after that, it was a lot of noise, things moving around here for the 2 weeks. And they said, well, that's going to happen because we stirred them up. Like, okay. So, like the cutlery on the buffets and stuff, items in your office, your doors being open, that kind of thing. And again, like sometimes it's so subtle, like you wouldn't notice it, but I notice it. I do. But yeah, things do get shifted in there. That section of the hotel, the stone there was really one of the only ones that survived the fire in the 90s. So that a lot of it is the original building on that side, but the rest of it was rebuilt after the fire. So sometimes people will ask me like, well, if it burnt down, how are they still here? I'm like, well, they probably don't know it burnt down. Or they're just in a different time, or who knows how the universe works. But that's why I think too with the rocks, like they're probably like their energies in the rocks here, and it just stays, like the building just stays. And it looks exactly the same as the original building pretty much. So
That's because over the years, the resort has expanded and been renovated many times. But Morgan says that those who have come to love the old hotel have tried to honor the spirits that still reside within it.
I had chats with the ownership and the directors, like, you are going to keep this, you're not going to go this ultra modern, crazy way. Like, we're going to keep to the heritage of this building, because I feel like it would be disrespectful to the people who are still here if we did it differently. Is that weird? It's kind of weird to say that, like they're gone, but I feel like it would be disrespectful. So, and everyone agrees. So that's why we've kept it the way that it should be. If you want to go to like the ultra modern marble kind of place, there are places for that. But because this is a boutique place and one of the only ones left in Muskoka, I believe that you should stick to the heritage of it and the respect that it does deserve to keep it that way and preserve the history.
Morgan's wish to honor the heritage of the area has been cemented by her own connection to the original owners of the Windemere House. Because although she began as skeptic, over the years, her own experiences and that of others have helped her become a believer.
Our friend Mark, he is the friend of our director of sales. He would come and do psychic readings for guests over the last couple of years. As soon as he came in here, or driving up here too, he said he got a headache as soon as he got close to the hotel, and that there's a lot here. He said that there was nine spirits here, which I have heard that number quite often. Again, he said Thomas comes through very strong. So he pretty much validated everything that I had heard before, which was kind of cool. But every time he comes, he stirs them all up in here. So then again, we have radios going off, lights and cupboards opening, all that kind of stuff. So the funny thing with them is that it's almost like, again, the ebbs and flows, that as long as you're going about your daily thing, it's calm. But as soon as you engage, they will answer, and they will kind of kick up again. So, which is nice. It's nice to have that back and forth with them. I've always believed that there's something, but I'd never had really any kind of connection until I came here. And then 100%, after that experience, I had 100% believe, yes.
Morgan is sure that she's interacted with spirits, and instead of being scared, she's instead comforted by their presence.
I relish in it. I know some people might get scared of it, but it's nothing for me. Like, it's not anything to be scared of. It feels like, I don't know, like it feels like home, like you're with family here. That's I think another reason why I like being here so much. It just feels nice. It's very nice.
Windermere House stands today much as it always has, overlooking Lake Rosseau, where it welcomes guests and carries its history quietly within its walls. On paper, it's a testament to perseverance. A family-built resort, built on loss, adapted through generations, and preserved as one of Muskoka's most enduring landmarks. But history isn't just dates and names. It's people going about the routines which are repeated over decades and layered into the same rooms, the same hallways, and the same view of the water. One thing is for certain: when a place has been lived in, worked in, and rebuilt as many times as this one has, it truly never forgets. You just might hear Thomas Atkins calling out your name. Thank you for joining me as we explore the historic and haunted Windermere House, and a special thank you to Morgan Jennings, Sales and Event Manager, for taking the time to talk with me. I really do appreciate it. If you want to check out Windermere House, I will list it in the show notes. Haunted Canada is sponsored by the Edmonton Ghost Tours. I will link it in the show notes. Haunted Canada is written and produced by me, Nadine Bailey, with senior producer Dila Velasquez. Production and sound design is by Rob Johnston, with help from Roslyn Cooper. If you'd like to support this podcast, please follow and share, and tell a friend about this podcast as well. We would also appreciate a like and a 5-star written review. Also, you can follow me on our different social media platforms, including TikTok or my YouTube channel, Haunted Canada. Or if you have a ghost, haunting, or true crime that you would like for us to cover on this podcast, please email me through the website, hauntedcanada.com. Thank you from all of us at Haunted Canada and Curious Cast. Have a good night, everyone, and stay haunted.